Right, isomerism. This is specifically for Edexcel people. Isomerism. Isomerism is when you have compounds, or isomers, when you have compounds with the same molecular formula, but a different structural formula or displayed formula. That's what isomers are. So I'm going to call it actually isomers. Do not confuse this with isotopes. So isotopes and isomers are different. Isotopes is when you have different atomic forms of the same element with the same number of protons, but a different number of neutrons. That was isotopes. Isomers is to do with organic chemistry, is when you have the same molecular, but a different structural formula. So we will now look at how to draw these. So not everything will have isomers, okay? But let's have a look. For example, if you just have two carbons, there's no other way of drawing this, okay? So this will not have isomers. If you draw propane, you might say to yourself, look what I can do. I can do this, or I can do this. And you might say, well, this is different. Unfortunately, this is not different. I call it bending the snake. So if you imagine a snake is 3 carbons long and you bend it, it's still the same snake. Nothing has changed. Remember, I've said to you before, it does not matter what points up, down, or sideways. So this is the same thing. It is not isomerism. What is isomerism is this. If you have 4 of them, that's the first time that you can have isomerism. Now, I'm just not going to put the H's for the sake of simplicity. So this is butane. If you chop the snake, so I'm going to chop this end off, and I'm going to put it in the middle. You can't just chop it off and put it at the other end, because then it's the same thing. You must put it to one of the middle atoms. So let's put the H's, otherwise it's lazy. So if you chop the snake, then what you could get, now this whole thing is going to go up here. And this H is going to take the place of this. Everything else will stay the same. Now this is different because the snake is only 3 carbons long and it's got like some other head sticking out of it. This part, the CH3, is called methyl. And then the 3 carbons is called propane. I would learn the name of this one, methyl propane. You should know it for Edexcel. There are no other isomers possible because if you chop the snake again, you can only put it down here, which is the same thing because it doesn't matter if it points down or sideways. So these are the 2 isomers of butane, this one and this one. So the butane itself counts as one version of itself, so it does count. I will just do propane for you. I will do pentane for you. So the first version of pentane is obviously if you have 5 carbons in a row. Okay. Now chop the snake and put it into one of the middle carbon atoms. So I'm going to put it here. So I've done it 4 long with that carbon coming in here. I then fill in all my H's. And if you do actually do a check and count the carbons and hydrogens, you will see that they add up to the same number in all situations. So that's why the molecular formula will be the same. So this will be called methyl, and 4 carbons, butane. This will be called pentane. Now you might say, well, hang on, I can put this here. But that's the same thing because it's reflected. So you cannot just say, I'm going to swap these 2 and make an isomer. That would be wrong. What you can do is you could chop this one off. If you chop this one off and swap it with this one, then you would actually make a 3-carbon long snake, and it'll make like a cross. So the. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 carbons. So this will be the final version. And this will be called di, because there's 2 of them, methyl, propane, because there's 3 carbons in the longest chain. You always look for the longest chain of the snake. So there's 3 versions of this kind of isomer for pentane, 1, 2, 3. Look over it is a bit of a higher tier thing, but just stick to the principle of chopping the snake and putting it into a middle carbon. Just be careful not to bend the snake. And don't forget, it doesn't matter if you point up, down, or sideways. Side disclaimer, if you have this as your first butene, another isomer of this would actually be putting a double bond in the middle. If you move the double bond, it is actually an isomer. Just like if you move a bromine, can be on the middle one or on the end one, then it does matter. So that does make an isomer. So that's just a little extra point. I will save this. I suggest, I mean, in your syllabus, I've only really seen them ask about butane, pentane, and butene for its isomers. So I will practice doing these from scratch and then see how you get along with them in the exam questions. Okay, you've now completed your organic course and you're ready to move on to alcohols. So I will see you next time for alcohols.